What's up everyone, this is K.D.M Sports, and we are back with some huge news as the notorious one Conor McGregor will be making his long-awaited return to the octagon after his horrific injury suffered against Dustin the Diamond Poirier in their trilogy bout back at UFC 264. He'll be taking on one of the most exciting lightweights on the planet in Iron Michael Chandler after the Ultimate Fighter Season 31, Team McGregor vs. Team Chandler. Now, this is a very interesting stylistic matchup, considering the fact that we are unsure about Conor since his last two fights, and he hasn't fought since July 2021, as well as how his fights unfolded against Dustin Poirier, and we don't really know how the injury will affect him going forward in his career. On the other hand, Chandler has been very active since he has been in the UFC, and he has consistently put on great fights and wars. Historically, though, we do know Conor, when he fights against orthodox fighters who are shorter with less reach, he tends to do very well, and many times his power and precision is just too much. Obviously, though, we do know this is mixed martial arts, and we can't just go off of what history tells us and how fights may play out, because anything can happen. For instance, if Chandler does decide to come out and actually wrestle and use his full skill set, knowing that he does have a high-level college wrestling background, it could create problems for Conor. But if he decides to put on a show for the fans, we also know Conor can have a really high chance of hurting Michael Chandler and possibly finishing the fight. However this fight plays out, we know it's going to be a high intensity and a very entertaining fight, especially in the first two rounds, because both of these guys love to pressure forward, and Chandler, we know, will put it all on the line, throwing all types of strikes and trying to take the fight to Conor, who is also a great pressure fighter in his own right. Conor will be looking to set up that famous left hand while also gauging the distance and intercepting with kicks. I do believe if Chandler does wrestle early and land heavy ground and pound while controlling Conor on the ground, that this should be a relatively easy fight for Chandler. The X factor I truly think in this matchup is really which approach does Chandler decide to take, because it would be a high risk and high reward for Chandler if he does decide to stand toe-to-toe with Conor and bang it out while trying to knock Conor out with his hands, because Conor is a more skilled boxer and overall more skilled striker. With him being sharper with his counters, and he does very well against orthodox fighters who love to throw that overhand right. We saw that against Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez. This punch is also Michael Chandler's best and most powerful punch, but in saying how dangerous this approach would be, if he does knock Conor out, he would instantly become a huge mainstream star. The safer route would definitely be to wrestle Conor, because even though Conor does have good takedown defense, I just think he wouldn't be able to stop it, because Chandler is a very good wrestler, extremely strong, obviously a great athlete who's also very explosive. If you look back at his Bellator run, you can see how much better his cardio is as well when he decides to wrestle, which is why we all wonder why he doesn't wrestle more in his fights. We saw what he did against Benson Henderson in a 5-round fight. The reason I think his cardio is just better is simply that while Chandler is on the feet, he tends to load up a lot and put his all into strikes, whereas in grappling, he could get the takedowns. Even though they do take energy, he would still be able to control those positions. Obviously, he would eventually slow down a bit, but not as much as he would while striking. This fight is so hard to predict for many reasons, because oftentimes Chandler doesn't do what he needs to do and could do to win fights. He just loves to entertain the crowd, which sometimes results in him losing. Conor right now stands as a slight betting favorite, which I think is fair if it stays standing, but if it goes to the ground, I'd say that Chandler should be a big favorite, as Chandler would most likely throw those fast punches while mixing in the takedowns, which would be hard for Conor to stop. Also, they would most likely be fighting in a heavier weight class, which we'd have to take into account. Conor's also been away from the octagon for almost 2 years, dealing with a horrific injury as well. Personally, it may seem like I'm favoring Chandler a lot, but despite everything I mentioned about both fighters, I think Conor takes it in the second round by a late TKO, because I feel like the fight would be pretty similar to the Chad Mendes fight. But I wouldn't be surprised if Chandler cleans Conor out, because we all know this isn't the same Conor of 2015 or 2016 anymore.